Hey guys, this week's video is dedicated to all our brothers and sisters in the land of Israel. This week's Torah portion, Pasha Balak, is a fascinating one. You have the famous story of the king Balak hiring the Gentile prophet Bilam to curse the Jewish people. Thinks I'm going to get them that way. And famously, instead of cursing the Jewish people, Bilam gives the most beautiful blessings to the Jewish nation. God forces him to bless the Jewish people, and he can't do anything but bless them. And while there's a lot of commentary and beautiful explanations on the blessings, I want to focus on just one aspect of it. He describes the Jewish nation as Am levadad yishkon, a nation that dwells alone. And while there's a lot of angles you can take in viewing this blessing, it's definitely a blessing. He's definitely saying it in a way that the Jewish people are unique, special in some way. Yet the word alone still connotes loneliness. And if we look at Jewish history, since the times of Balak and Bilam, that's what the Jewish nation has kind of felt like. We felt very alone, a little bit of lonely. And I want to share with you something that happened in 1972. The Israeli ambassador to the United Nations at that time was Yitzhak Rabin. And the president of Israel at that time was Zalman Shazar. And he asked Yitzhak Rabin to visit the Lubavitcher Rebbe and give him over birthday wishes on behalf of the Israeli government because the Rebbe was turning 70. And Yitzhak Rabin and the Rebbe had this long meeting together, and he shared some of the details later. And he said the Rebbe asked him, do you ever feel alone in the United Nations? You're surrounded, at that time there was 120 countries, I think, being represented, and not very friendly towards Israel. That hasn't changed. Do you ever feel lonely there? And he says, yeah, sometimes. But he feels privileged and proud to represent Israel in the United Nations. And the Rebbe then continued and asked him, is the fact that we're alone, is that something that is by choice, or is that something that is forced upon us? Meaning, is it something, if we had the option, we wouldn't choose, or is it something that we willingly embrace? And then the Rebbe continued and said, it's really both. On the one hand, our faith and tenacity in God and his Torah and mitzvot has differentiated us from the nations and has really stood by us through all the things that we've gone through in history, all the horrible things. That is what kept us going. On the other hand, those events has forced even the Jews who didn't necessarily identify in any way Jewish, or it didn't mean anything to them, it's forced them to look in the mirror and say, what does it mean to me to be Jewish? They didn't have the choice not to because they were being forced to. We all know the horrors and the poison of anti-Semitism. But if we look at it maybe a little differently, if we look at October 7th, what happened after? The resurgence of Jewish pride. Was it intimidating sometimes? Yes. Is it horrible? The things that even took place after and the anti-Semitism we see around the world and showing its face? Yeah. But we can also focus on the pride that we see amongst Jewish people who've never felt that before, who have looked in the mirror and said, wait a minute, why do they hate me? What does it mean to me to be a Jew? To wear a Magen David, to put on tefillin, to do a mitzvah, to light Shabbat candles, to proudly identify with my Jewish community, to connect more, to learn more. There's been a resurgence like we haven't seen in such a long time. And that's the flip side. Our tenacity, and yes, even from the nations of the world, forces us to reckon with our own Jewish identity. So yes, as Bilam said, Am levadad yishkon, we are a nation that dwells alone, but we're never lonely. Hashem walks with us, protects us, and guides our destiny. Shabbat shalom.